Hello and welcome to Abundantly Purposeful. Today we are talking about the skill of listening. It is definitely something to be nurtured and cultivated, and it sometimes is not an easy thing to come across, but it is the thing right now that we feel is incredibly important to our relationships, to our work relationships, all of them across the board. When we come across people who are from very different backgrounds or understandings or belief systems, listening is the true bridge to gapping the distance and really kind of connecting with another person and understanding and maybe even altering some of our own beliefs and understandings of the world. My name is Kristyn Cozad, and I am a purpose coach and life coach and the owner of Illuminating Purpose.
I am Shelly Schell, and I'm a financial advisor and certified first financial analyst and a co-founder of an investment management firm called Prism Financial Strategies. Thanks for joining us. This topic's so interesting because listening is something that I feel is one of my strong suits. Like I consider myself to be a good listener, but it's interesting in this context, right? When we have so much out there that we hear, right? Hearing, listening. I think those are, I like to just point out that I hear you. Like my kids will be talking. And I'm like, I hear you. But am I really listening, right, to what they're saying? And am I really taking in what's important in what they're saying to me versus just hearing them, right? I hear them talk all the time. This is just an example. Or on the news, the media, all of it's out there in the world today. When I really listen, when I stop and think, I'm open, right? Like Kristyn teaches us of being purposeful and being open in our lives, right? Like being open to listening to other perspectives and not immediately going to a judgment or I got to make a comment or I got to fix that or I got to do something in connection with that listening, right? Sometimes you just sit back and really listen and take it in. It's really key. And it's important with money too, because anytime you're listening, I think, to yourself or others around you when they're talking about money or how it affects your life and our socio standing, as you were mentioning earlier, we all have to just step back and listen to ourselves and know what our financial connection is and what our limits are, and don't push ourselves beyond that and live in a world that's keeping up with the Joneses, kind of to speak. So great topic.
And listening is really about learning, right? It's not about projecting. It's not about, and I know myself, I've experienced it and I've actually done it myself where someone else is speaking and I'm thinking about the next thing that I'm going to say. And you can feel that it really is the act of presence. Listening is really about being present with someone and really hearing what their experience is, or hearing whatever they have to offer for us to educate us about something or to show us just a different way. And when we listen, and it doesn't mean that we have to change our belief system, but we're just taking in this new information and this new perspective, it really does broaden us and open us up. And it really does create a more deep connection and relationship when others feel like they can come to us and say whatever they need to say. I think that's really important. Like there's so much, sometimes we can really cut somebody off or, yeah, I know what you're going to say, but to really be heard is such a gift. When I experience that with someone and I feel like they really understand me, just like you said, Shelly, I hear you with your children. That is really such a gift to be heard and to be, have our experiences seen and understood a little bit. And I think that it can get really tricky. We get into, some of these bigger topics like politics and religion and money specifically. I think those three areas can be really, really divisive. And I think that it can be challenging to have that conversation with another person about where they come from, where it's very different from where you do. And I think what I've noticed in my experience with people, when people are struggling to listen to another person who's coming from a very different place, it's because they're trying to figure out where their beliefs and how right they are, instead of there's no right or wrong here. this person can have this belief or this experience, and I don't have to even necessarily fully understand it, but I can be compassionate with them and I can be in the moment with them. And I think that really is an important part of a relationship, any relationship that we have, whether it's our work lives or our personal lives. I think it's really important that we really start to open up and start listening to the people who believe differently than we do.
And like you mentioned earlier, listening is learning. That's a really good connection, right? So as I've gotten older, right, in my, you grow up a certain way and you're taught things a certain way, or both politically and economically, how you're raised. But as you have experiences like in life, right, and as we age, I can speak personally saying the older I get, the more I want the exposure to other people's experiences and history and what they can teach me so that I can be more open to anything and everything, right? And I don't have to just live in a bubble. Even though it may be my comfort zone and the way I've been raised, I want to live openly. And the more the more I expose myself to life and experiences and people that I never would have met. And when it comes to money, again, you know, you learn a lot from others when it comes to money, right? In society, I think we see that's what advertising is, right? They're advertising for us to buy products and do different things. And the way we interact with our money is so personal. And, all I always try to get people to do is make that connection that's deeper and more meaningful. And by seeking out somebody that you trust or you feel comfortable with, and getting advice from them around money and tips that may work, or just suggestions of what has worked for them in their lives, what has not worked for them, right? As we listen to what others' experiences are. Or, one of the things that Chris and I have talked about recently is like some really great books around money and ways to make a deeper connection with your money through reading some very specific books around, emotional, financial connections with money. But you still have to then listen to yourself, right? So where your limitations are and where you're really holding yourself back, and just being actively listening to self and others and not judging yourself either. We've done a segment on judging ourselves and judging of others, and this kind of goes hand in hand with that, I think, too.
Absolutely. And Shelly, money is so, so deeply personal. I mean, we both know that it can be really hard to talk about money or to have a conversation with somebody who's on a really different page about that. And I think that is really the key here, because listening is more challenging when something is deeply personal to us. So determining the things that you're really grounded in, and my faith is something that's really important to me. And it's something that I have no problem having a conversation with someone who is of another faith or of another belief system, because I'm so grounded in what I believe. And I think that's really important part of this, is that you get to keep what you believe. When you listen to someone else's experience and you hear from them what it's like to be in their skin, it's not confronting to what you believe. You don't have to argue about it. You can just listen and see the beauty of where they're at. And I think that's really important, is to really, whether it's with your money or, what are your non-negotiables, and what are the places where you're just really grounded. And for me, I feel like the more grounded I am in certain things in my life, the easier it is to listen to other people, because I don't feel that confrontation rising up with my belief system. So today, we have really enjoyed sharing time with you, talking about listening, talking about bridging the gap, and talking about really building this skill in our relationships. And my action point for you today is to go out this week, and someone in your life where you know that there's something that you don't hold the same belief system on, whether it's politics or religion or money or relationships, whatever that is, go have a conversation with that person. Allow them to speak and truly listen. Truly create a space where they can be seen and heard. Hear their experience and let it not confront whatever it is that you believe or what your experience is. It's a really beautiful thing to create in a friendship.
My takeaway this week is going to be take action this week and get a book on money, something that's different, or have a very specific conversation with somebody that you admire. For whatever reason you think you admire them with their financial situation, whether it's their career or the way they live, their lifestyle. It could be just they live very simply, or they've created a lifestyle that you're interested in, right? Just to have a conversation around money, and don't be afraid to say, hey, how does money work in your life? Like, how do you connect with it? And it doesn't have to be specific, like how much money do you make, or how much money do you have, and how much does that cost? Nothing like that. It's more
Probably better that it's not, right?
well, and but it's okay to ask sometimes, and some people will be open to, right? Like, that doesn't have to be such a stigma, because I can tell you a lot of people in business will talk about how much money they make, and they talk freely and proudly about it. And it doesn't have to be this stigma, right? So just open up that conversation with somebody that you're close to, even if it's a friend or a family member. I do it with my mom all the time, and she always kind of pushes back. And I'm like, no, we're going to have this conversation. I want to talk to you about your money experiences. And she does, eventually she comes around, but so.
Well, thank you so much, folks, for joining us today. We've really enjoyed our time with you. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We put out a weekly message, and we would love for you to be in the conversation with us. Leave a comment. And if you like this video, then hit the like button. Thanks so much. We've enjoyed sharing the day with you.
Thank you.